Mm-hmm.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes,
Welcome
sir.
to the Daily Dose, and that is the picture for today's show. Donovan Mitchell not looking too happy as he gets thrown off the floor at the Wells Fargo Center last night. I think we're good, Jay. There we go. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Daily Dose. Daily Dose is presented to you, as always, by the Painted Line. So if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button, like this video. We're streaming to you guys live through their Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube account. If you want to follow myself on Twitter, you can. You can see my name on the screen at DylanJD98. You can follow my man George at _George Ryder. I got it right this time. And you can follow my man Justin at J_Christichetti. As you see, I'm with two co-hosts today. That's because all the work that my man Git puts in, I got to bring two people just to pick up the slack here today for myself. Shane says what's going on, and we have a awesome comment to start the show. That's all that needs to be said. So the Sixers take down the Utah Jazz 131-123 in overtime last night to improve to 24-12 headed into the All-Star break. Joel Embiid hits a ridiculous step back three with a little over 5 seconds left in regulation to send the game to overtime. I'll start the show by throwing this to you guys. No other center in NBA history can do that. You can argue with me till you're blue in the face. No other center in the history of the game could do that. That very thing last night.
That's what I was talking to my friend about today. I was like, you realize like he's a center, right? And he made that shot and like with perfect defense on him in his face. That was like centers don't do that. That he's 7'1", big as hell. He's making that 3-pointer with 5.9 seconds left.
Well, the only argument you could make. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say,
you're good.
All right, I was gonna say the only argument you can really make is like Dirk, but he technically played power forward.
Yeah, but my point is, he is 7 foot, 7'1", whatever you want to call him. He's posting up back to the basket, and no one's moving. The play's just breaking down. He notices that down three with 8 seconds left or whatever at the time, dribbles back to the 3-point line, picks up his dribble. Pump fake kind of double clutches, man in his grill, shoots over him, buries a three on the wing. No other center can do that, and that's how I just want to start the show today because we're going to talk about Embiid last night and how he just keeps improving his MVP case. But what we're witnessing right now is greatness.
Yes, sir.
And I don't think enough people realize it. I saw a tweet earlier of all the like percentages and points per game and rebounds per game and everything, and there was like a list of like 7 things. And what he's on pace for right now has never been done in the history of the NBA. I think Derek Bodner tweeted it out. So Justin, we'll start with you, man. Give us one of your main takeaways from the win last night, because all I can say is what a freaking game and what a freaking win to wrap up the first half.
So I want to talk about something that, honestly, it probably hasn't been the big talk. I know it hasn't been the big talk on Twitter, and I touched on it a little bit in last night's post-game show after the game, but Matisse Thybulle. I want to talk about his defense on Jordan Clarkson last night, because last time we played the Jazz and lost, Jordan Clarkson went off for 40. We had Matisse running around Jordan basically the whole game when Jordan was on the court, and Jordan Clarkson had 10 points. 10 points last night. To me, that is the big difference in this game. Obviously, you can also talk about Donovan Mitchell shooting 34 shots and scoring 33 points. You can talk about that, but
we'll talk about it.
The fact that our defense was able to hold their scores to just being able to jump shoot, basically, like their off the dribble shooters were not able to get many good looks. Only really their guys who just stand in the corner and shoot were able to. So we took away their big weapons and made their role player beat us, basically. So I think to me it was really impressive, and it was I think it was a better game plan going into it than we did last time against Utah. Although you can say we did not have Joel last time we went against Utah. So
yeah. So what you're telling me is Doc Rivers adjust. I never thought a Sixers head coach would do that before. But George, what's one of your major takeaways from last night? Because I know we're very similar on some of these.
See, we can talk about Joe if you want, but we'll obviously get to him. Tobias Harris in overtime, an absolute takeover by him. I mean, outscoring the Jazz 11-5 in overtime, finishing the game 22-10. Like him missing 2 games in a row it was, and then coming back, and he didn't shoot the lights out in the beginning of the game. He wasn't going insane, but to end the game like that, to end overtime like that, after taking the load off Joel after all the work he did the whole game, that was huge by Tobias. And him coming back and outscoring the Jazz by 6 points in overtime by himself, that's huge. And that's the Tobias Harris we know and love this year. So that was great to see in overtime.
Who guarded him in overtime? Was it Bogdanovich?
it was Bogdanovich, and you also had a little bit of Ingles. Ingles only guarded him for a little bit though. It was mostly Bogdanovich.
Well, I'll tell you when Ingles didn't play.
Oh my God!
Me and George got this pretty painfully last night.
Yeah,
they could have used Joe Ingles in overtime. So could have our parlay. But
oh man, what did you guys do?
We lost out on $3,500 by 4 points from Joe Ingles.
Are you serious?
Ready?
He needed 16. He got taken out halfway through the fourth. Never stepped back on the court.
So it's Ben 15 plus, Rudy Gobert 10 plus, Joe Ingles 20 plus. Joe Ingles 2+ made threes. All 3 out of the 4 check mark. Joe Ingles 16 points on 6 of 7 shooting, 4 of 5 from 3, and Utah doesn't put him in overtime.
I will say just real quick to just understanding Utah a little bit on this. Joe is obviously not. He's obviously played well last night, but realistically, Bogdanovich is a better all-around offensive player than him when it comes to shooting, especially because they went really cold in the fourth. So it doesn't surprise me why they do that, but I will say that does suck on your guys' end.
It was tough.
It also sucks. I mean, Royce O'Neal played 41 minutes. You want to talk about putting a damper on your offensive set? You keep Royce O'Neal out there.
They needed all the defense they could get out there, though. I mean, we were just taking whatever we wanted on the inside, especially in the fourth and overtime.
Yeah,
I mean, we scored 34 points in the fourth and outscored them insanely in overtime. So
very easy.
So, like George said, we're going to get to Joel Embiid. That is the biggest. Obviously, if there's a takeaway to have, it's the 40-19 night from Joel Embiid, hoisting you to a victory, especially with that clutch 3 at the end. Ginn says we should trade Ben for Donovan Mitchell. Don't you have a game to go, coach?
He shoots more.
But here's what I'll say to everyone watching right now and to you too. I never thought I would say this before. Dwight Howard changed that ball game last night.
Yep.
Dwight Howard changed that ball game last night. And obviously, Ben, Toby, Joel, Joel is the biggest reason that you won that game. But when I mean changed, it's like there were so many moments throughout the course of that game, especially late when Utah put us away. Like, oh, that's a dagger. Oh, here we come back. Oh, that's a dagger. Oh, here we come back. And they just kept fighting and climbing back. And then Dwight Howard comes in the fourth quarter. I'm like, man, this bench unit out there is going to get us buried, and this game's going to be over. The moment he hit that 3, and then I think he got a block the very next possession down the other end off the glass, and Utah was throwing their arms up in the air looking for goaltending. By the way, it wasn't goaltending.
Believe it or not, they weren't looking for goaltending. They were looking for that foul Matisse. Because
really,
so that play, Mike Conley when he went up for it, right before he went up, Matisse tried to do his Matisse things and steal the ball right when someone's going up.
Yeah,
and he hit him in the thigh. So when he went for the ball, he hit him in the thigh. And so when Mike went up for it, that they were bitching about that, not the goaltending.
Cry a little bit more to me, but that is one of my main takeaways is Dwight Howard literally changed the course of this game. George, what are your thoughts on how Dwight Howard played last night in that statement?
Yeah, I mean, when you see that bench unit come out, it's like, all right, this is probably the time we're gonna get buried, like you said. But he comes out, he makes a three, shoots 4 for 6, he has 12 points, a steal, a block. Like he was really a spark plug. We went on a 13-2 run with that unit out there, and Dwight Howard was the reason that happened.
Plus Rudy, he did.
Like I never thought I would see Dwight Howard do that, especially hit that three. That was very entertaining to watch. But he comes out there and he shoots 4-6. He hits a three. He really is like a spark plug in that moment. We go on a huge run, 13-2, and that changes the whole entire course of the game.
Yeah,
like, you think at the end of the third, like it's time to get stars back out there. Nah, you're riding the hot hand, and that's Dwight Howard in that unit at that point, which was crazy to see, but also very encouraging, especially the way that this bench has been playing.
He's been playing really well, though, over the course of the last week or two. Justin, what are your thoughts on how Dwight Howard kind of changed changed the game and got the Sixers back into things last night?
Yeah, I mean, he was playing out of his mind offensively and defensively, and that's something we haven't seen like as of late. We've seen a lot of turnovers, a lot of missed dunks, a lot of missed lobs. And realistically, that's going to happen when you get those in high volume, like Dwight does. But just the fact that he was able to play out of his mind and keep us in it and keep the Sixers afloat while Joel Embiid was back in the locker room. That's something else I wanted to bring up. Joel was in the locker room for like a whole quarter, it seemed like, and you really didn't have another choice but to keep him out there as well as he was playing, and we kind of got lucky with that. I was just like, man, hopefully Joel's okay. Is he going to come out of the locker room yet? Dwight's been on the court for a while now. Uh-oh. Like, I was getting a little worried. I'm not going to lie.
I think he took a shit. I said, like,
Did you see his quote?
I said, like, it doesn't matter why I went back or something. I'm okay. Like,
I said something about equipment. I don't know. But, I mean, listen, it could be but it would not surprise me whatsoever if our big man had to go number 2. Would not surprise me. But did technically say it was an equipment issue.
I'll believe him. All right, here's my second takeaway. For everyone that said Miles Turner was a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, you got proven wrong a few nights ago. For everyone that continues to say how good Rudy Gobert is on the defensive end and that he's the Defensive Player of the Year, you're wrong. Rudy Gobert is not the Defensive Player of the Year. That is my second takeaway. He got his ass handed to him from the jump through overtime at every level in a half-court set. He played a little some good D down low by the rim, but that's what he is. He's a rim protector. Any 7-footer, especially an athletic one like himself, can protect the rim and block shots. Okay? And yeah.
I have something to say when you're done your point.
He got his ass whooped last night, which leads me to my third takeaway. Ben Simmons is Defensive Player of the Year. Because Ben Simmons, he struggled early a little bit defensively, and I was getting very irritated. George, I don't know if I texted you this or Scotty, but I was talking to both of you throughout the game, and I'm like, him and Toby switched too easily at the top of the key, and that's when Mitchell was finding some of his success early. And B, he kept sagging underneath the screen, and Mitchell was just pulling up in rhythm into a jumper. And that's when a majority of his points came in the first half and in the third quarter. And I'm like, dude, stop sagging under. Like, he's killing you that way. Fourth quarter, Ben Simmons absolutely locked up Donovan Mitchell. In the last 8 minutes of the game, this brought to you by my man Brock here at TPL off of his Twitter, Donovan Mitchell went 0 of 9 with 2 or 3 turnovers in the final 8 minutes. When guarded by Ben Simmons, Mitchell went 5 of 15, 2 of 8 from deep. Those two kind of go hand in hand. I saw a comment and I got distracted. So Rudy Gobert, not the Defensive Player of the Year. Ben Simmons, undoubtedly the Defensive Player of the Year in my mind. George.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell, I mean, 33 points on 34 shots, first of all, is like bad in its own right. But you're up 5 with 2 minutes left, and you proceed to go 0 for 10 with 2 turnovers. He only has 2 free throws, makes them both, and he gets 2 technicals. Like, ouch. That does not help your case for anything. And Ben Simmons just absolutely taking his food, taking his lunch money. Like, that was brilliant to watch. Like Donovan Mitchell really fell apart at the end of that game. Like it was bad. And even him having 33 points, he had a bad game. Shooting 12 for 34. I mean, really,
Yeah, dude.
that's ridiculous. And like add that with Gobert getting absolutely dominated the whole game by Embiid. It's pretty clear now that everyone that's still on the Rudy Gobert Defensive Player of the Year train needs to hop off. It's about time that train takes a float and it's over. And Ben Simmons needs to get some actual consideration because it seemed like for a while we were saying that he could win Defensive Player of the Year. Like Ben, it could win DPOI, but no one is really taking it seriously. Like it's time. I think Ben can win Defensive Player of the Year. If we have an MVP and the Defensive Player of the Year on this team, it's very possible. Like that could be a thing to end the season.
You know the last time that happened?
Yeah, I actually read it on Twitter and I forget. When was it?
2001.
Whoa.
You know what happened in 01? Finals appearance.
The finals.
Justin,
we don't any of that. Yeah, afterwards.
What you had something to say about Mr. Rudy?
Yeah, so I just looked up these stats and I'm actually like kind of shocked by this. And I shouldn't be as shocked just because we were shooting like shit from the outside. But Sixers put up 64 points in the paint last night against the Jazz, against one of the best centers in the league defensively. Guess how many points we average in the paint?
I'll say a little over 50.
47. We averaged 47 points in the paint.
So they won.
And we put up 64 points in the paint on the best defensive center in the league. Rudy Gobert also gets paid over $200 million to get blocks, steals, pick and rolls, easy buckets, scored 12 points, had 9 rebounds, which is 10 less than what Embiid had, has 12 points, which is 28 less than Embiid has, 10 shots, 4 of 10, so not even efficient shots, and also only had 1 block and 2 steals. So this man is supposed to be a Defensive Player of the Year candidate and supposed to be known as the best center in the league defensively.
And most of our points
allowed more than half of our points to come from the paint, and only had 1 block. So that is my point there. And the fact that the Sixers averaged 47 points in the paint, mind you, we had a bad night from 3, but either way, for a guy who's supposed to be one of the best centers in the league defensively, that should be seen as a big deal.
First of all, before we get back to Mr. Rudy Gobert and more of our takeaways, again, I know you're responding because there's a little bit of a fight going on in the comment section. And Nadir just said, "Good to hear that you have found your long time lost common sense."
Nadir, my boy.
Again, Nadir, can I ask you something, bud? For real? You know they won the game last night, right? Like, maybe the best game of the season. Like, what a game, what a win to finish out the first half. They're still in first place. And Gint says something about making a trade to make this team better, and you have to include Korkmaz. Like, why, dude? Why? I just want to know. No one mentioned him. No one talked about him.
That's his boy.
Yeah, I know. But anyway, I just had to throw that out there. I really need. Maybe Gint's coaching now. I need Gint to get back to me here. So those are 2 big takeaways, and then finally, let's get to the big fella, guys. I mean, Justin, you just said it. 40, 19, 3 assists, a steal, 2 blocks. I opened the show by saying no center in NBA history can do what he did in the final 8 seconds, with that 5-second shot last night. And I don't mean just hitting the 3 over someone. We watched Dwight Howard hit 3. I mean, game on the line. He's not in the low post, but he's in the mid-range with his back to the basket. Play breaks down. He notices, dribbles back away from the basket to the 3-point line, double clutches over a defender, basically, and just drops a 3 to tie the game. No one his size can do that, dude, ever. Okay? And he just dominated from start to finish. Guys, my takeaway, Joel Embiid is the MVP of the league. And I know we've been saying it for a long time. And he's been getting national attention all year, right? And there's a lot of people naturally. Will says Dirk stepped back like it's easy too. Yeah, he did. I think that was the first basket of the game where he's like hit that dirt like spin or that fadeaway off of one leg. They're like, dude, he's showing like his bag goes so deep. He's got Dirk moves. He's got, Duncan low post moves. He's got Olajuwon moves. He can pull step back and knock down a three. Like, it is ridiculous. And he shoots like 85% from the line.
He went 10 for 13 from the free throw line last night. Also, I would like to say he scored those 40 points on 27 shots.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's your 33 on 34 shots.
52%, 14 of 23.
Dude. Not even MVP in our eyes now, MVP in Vegas' eyes too.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Sorry,
it's finally
14 to 27, not 23. My bad.
He is now FanDuel's favorite to win the MVP. Not by a lot. He's plus 240, I think, and LeBron's plus 260 to win the MVP right now. Guys, all I'm going to say is this. He had 40 and 19 last night, right? He has more 40 and 10 games this season than the entire NBA has combined. He has 5 40 and 10 games this year, and there's 4 other 40 and 10 games combined from the rest of the league.
Yes.
Also, sorry, this is what we do a post game. If we have something to say real quick, I feel bad talking over people,
dude.
He also has more 30 and 15 games than Charles Barkley did in his career as a Sixer. So far, Joel Embiid has 10, 30 plus, and 15 plus rebound, 30 plus points, 15 plus rebound games. Charles Barkley had 9, and Wilt Chamberlain has like 30 or something like that. But like right now, he's second on the list in 30 plus points, 15 plus rebound games. In Philly.
I will answer. I have Justin. Do you know where Zaire Smith is?
I'm looking it up right now. Actually, I saw the comment.
I have no idea. All I know is that we
cut by Detroit, and then what?
Yeah, he was cut. I'm looking right now. Right. Keep talking.
We had Mikal Bridges, but
I was talking earlier, and I was like to some guy I work with, and like we are so blessed to be able to watch Joel every night. Like him being on our team is absolutely insane. To now, first half of the season, 30.2 points a game, 11.6 rebounds, 3.3 assists, 1.4 blocks, 1.2 steals. I mean, dude, this is halfway point of the year. If he continues this, it's clear path to the MVP.
Dude,
it's very clear path to the MVP.
I'm trying to think of a more likable athlete in my lifetime.
He's so fun, too.
He's like, I'm being dead serious, dude. Like, he's so dominant and so good and great this year. But then, like, you just watch him in overtime right before Mitchell gets his second tee and thrown out. And he's looking at the ref like, and I'm like, dude.
Imagine that with a packed Wells Fargo Center. Like, man.
Oh, dude, I said that to Gint the other day. Like, I know they don't have their first home game in front of fans until like March 14th or something because they go on a road trip after the All-Star break. But, dude, you put this man on the tear he's on in front of, 3,000, 3,100 people? I don't care if it's not a packed house. It's going to feel like a packed house.
No doubt.
And it's going to be awesome. And we'll continue to talk about Joel Embiid's game last night and how he's played this season more throughout the show. But my last takeaway, guys, is really this. I have no idea how they won that ball game last night. But I know that they did it playing their style of basketball. And that's what was most impressive to me. You got your asses handed to you from the three-point line. 21 made three-pointers by Utah to 8 by Philly.
39 more points.
You do not win that kind of game in this day and age in the NBA. You just don't do it. And they found a way to win. I don't know how. I said it earlier. There were multiple points throughout the course of the game where it was like, that's a dagger, game over. That's a dagger, game over. We'd cut the lead to 3, back to 9. We'd cut it to 5, back to 11 or 12. Utah had multiple 10-point leads throughout the fourth quarter. And they just continued to fight and claw their way back. 21. One of my keys to the game with getting on Tuesday because we didn't do a show yesterday. We broke down this game a little bit. And I asked them two things. If the Sixers were going to be successful, obviously we didn't have Embiid and Shake the first time around in Utah when they beat us. But there's two things that stuck out, right? The bench and the 3-point differential. I remember that game, Utah hit 18 threes. They made almost as many as we took. And I'm like, can the Sixers like bridge that gap? Like, can they close that gap a little bit? They didn't. Utah made even more threes this time. We took 25, I believe. They made 21 on like a 50% clip almost. And they won the game. Why did they win the game? And it circles me back around to who we were just talking about. They won the game because they had the best player on the floor, and it's not even close. That's the biggest takeaway of it all. They won the ball game because he was the best and most dominant player on the floor. And like Justin said earlier, when it came down to it, right, Jay, you said Donovan Mitchell, like we read the numbers in the last 8 minutes, 0 of 9 from the field. And you said he kind of shot his team out of the game. And what did you say? That we made their role players tried to beat us, right?
Yeah.
You talked about Clarkson and Mitchell.
Yep, I talked about the fact that we made Conley and Bogdanovich try to beat us at the end, realistically, because Donovan just could not hit shots, and obviously that ended in him getting ejected because of getting upset.
Right.
But yeah, I think the Sixers did a good job last night of really giving. You got to think about this. In past matchups, we've seen Ben Simmons play more of like a ball hawk role where he's not always like on that superstar player. Sometimes they'll throw Shake Milton at them or Matisse Thybulle at them, depending on how big they are. But today you saw they really didn't want Donovan to get hot. They didn't want Jordan Clarkson to get hot because that's what beat them last matchup. Right. So you saw Matisse Thybulle whenever Clarkson was on the floor, he was on the floor with him. And you saw Ben Simmons whenever Donovan Mitchell was on the floor, he was on him. So
basically what I'm saying is I love that your point because we made their role players try to beat us.
Yeah.
They let our big 2 or 3 win that game last night.
I don't think they let it. I just think they couldn't stop it.
Yeah. They obviously that's my point. But my point is us defensively, we won this game because we had the best player on the floor in Joel. Threes weren't falling. We were 1 of 10 at one point. They already had like 13 made threes, and we were still hanging in there. Why? Because of Joel Embiid. And when it came down to it in the fourth quarter, we strapped up, played defense, and were efficient, and we forced the game to go to overtime, and we never took our foot off the gas pedal last night. Their stars couldn't get it done. Ours did last night. It's just one game. I'm not getting too far ahead of myself, but it was a great win because everyone wanted that test, right? We haven't really gotten it this year outside the Lakers. Everyone wanted to see, like we played Brooklyn. They weren't healthy. We played Utah. We weren't healthy. We played Phoenix. We weren't healthy. We played Denver. We weren't healthy. Okay, here you go. Best team in the league right now, record-wise, coming in. Just off of a loss, mind you. So it's not, you know how like sometimes it's just like, oh, a team's red hot, they're due for a loss, like Utah kind of was. They just lost to New Orleans. The same way, basically. I forget how many threes Utah made the other night against New Orleans, and New Orleans didn't hit a lot at all. Pelicans beat them. Same thing happened here tonight. And I just want to address this real quick. Nadir, because the bench is broken.
Yeah.
So I say about them about that comment as well.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh no, you can finish.
No. So all I'm saying, I agree. Me and Matt have said that multiple times. Like with the starting 5, when they were under, like people were like getting upset with Danny Green. Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I had no problem really with the starting 5. Obviously, you can upgrade from Danny Green. I kind of like Danny Green, but you do need more out of him, especially in the postseason. But the bench is broken. Like I don't know if that's not obvious to you. Yeah, we won against the best team in the league right now. Could we not be better? Like they beat our ass for most of the game. I literally just said, I don't know how we won. It's a great win. I don't know how the hell we did it. So I think something's broken.
Yeah, I think the best way to see it, guys, is yes, you can say like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You won the game, but you really think about the only reason why that game was close because we weren't hitting shots. And a lot of the reasoning to that is because of our shooters on the team not being consistent enough. Whether you want to blame that on Furkan, whether you want to blame it on Danny Green, Seth Curry, oh my goodness, Shake Milton, like you can blame it on whoever you want. But that's been the glaring, obvious point on this team really since the season started, is that the inconsistency of our bench shooting and sometimes our role player shooting on the starting lineup can be very, very daunting. And it usually has been the reason why we lose games. And it could have been the reason why we lose this one. And we could be having a completely different conversation if Joel didn't come in and have an insane game at the end in the fourth and Tobias didn't take it home in overtime. So I think although I understand your comment here, Nadir, and the fact that we won the game, that kind of a game is going to be a lot tougher to win once you get into the playoffs when people are just keying in on guys like Joel. And realistically, Joe ain't making that shot all the time.
No,
that 3-point shot all the time. And I'm not. That's not me talking any mess about him.
That's why it's so
He's
special.
a beast. Yeah, but that's my point. Is that game is not close in my opinion if you have a little bit more consistent shooting on this roster.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like without Joel going absolutely berserk, like we're probably having a completely different conversation right now. Like Shake's 4 for 11 off the bench. Like all season, our bench has been that glaring hole that okay, we're gonna have to add at the deadline or the buyout period. So that win against the Jazz, it was awesome. Don't know how he won, but that doesn't mean you stand pat.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I know exactly how we won. It's called they couldn't guard us, and once we figured out what worked, like think about it this way: most of the game, Tobias Harris wasn't doing what they had him do in overtime. They figured out a way to win. Yep. They went to a guy and they said, okay, this matchup is working. And even earlier in the game when they figured out how Rudy was going to be guarding Joel. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but I don't remember what quarter it was, but there was a point that we ran the same set like 4 or 5 times down the court where we put it down the court, threw it to Danny Green at the top of the hash on the far side of the court, and then threw it to Embiid down in the post until they doubled it. Because they were going single coverage on that for a while, but until they doubled it, they ran it. And they did the same thing in overtime with Tobias Harris.
Right.
They gave him the ball and just let him go at him until they started moving the defense. Then they moved it to the other side of the court.
So there's no negativity today, bro. We are ecstatic coming off last night, but obviously Nadir asked the question, why do we have to fix it? And I think this describes it perfectly. This and the fact that it took 40 and 19 from him. It took 40, 19, and a buzzer beater 3 to force overtime to beat them. Now, like Justin said, do I expect the Sixers to shoot as poorly in a 7-game series? No, but you also can't expect 40 and 19 and a crazy 3 from Embiid. So that's where, how can we upgrade? This team,
I think it's going to happen. It's going to get upgraded. There's going to be some moves, and you've been able to tell that from little reports coming out here and then. I saw another report today about Bjelica again. I don't know who he's gonna go to because obviously he's gonna be a guy who's gonna have a lot of suitors. And I don't think Daryl's gonna be the first one to make a move unless he desperately needs to. Because it definitely seems like he wants to wait and see what the market comes out. He doesn't want to set the market because shooting is a very high valued item to get in the NBA, especially in the past few years as shooting has become more and more important with spacing. And so I really, it's going to be a high price, even on a guy's expiring deal. Cause I mean, Bjelica's on an $8 million contract and he's got 1 year left on it. So but he also shoots a career 39% from 3, but he's also shooting 31% right now.
Right.
So it's like his value's low, but because of how high it is already because of it on his career numbers, it's still going to be a big price to go out and get a good shooter.
Yeah. So Tashawn says, would you rather a few average moves or a blockbuster for all our assets like Lowry? Well, here's the thing. I would love a Lowry move, but I think this is where people get it twisted. Like, it wouldn't take all our assets to get Lowry.
No.
It would take a couple contracts. It would take a couple contracts to even out the money. It would take Maxey or Thibault, probably Maxey, and picks.
Yep.
And not like 3 firsts, not multiple first round picks, but like a first and 2 seconds, whatever it is. So when someone said like Rob Manoff tweeted it and I like quoted it because I've been saying it for a while. People in their minds, I get it if you don't just want to move on with Maxey, whatever. But people keep like saying like you're not wagering your future to get Kyle Lowry.
No.
Yeah, no.
You're not giving up. You're
Deal.
not giving up Matisse and Maxey and multiple firsts for years to come. Like you're not. You're giving up one player and maybe a first, and then other little pieces.
The problem, the only thing that I understand the argument on what you're giving up for him is because you were giving up a lot of your bench depth, and I would say also because of the injuries we've had because of COVID, it is a little scary if you're giving up that like extra guard or the extra backup power forward that you might like. Like Mike Scott's been playing a little bit better recently. Like it kind of sucks you have to give him. Danny Green obviously has been a key role player for this team, maybe not on the point spectrum, but defensively and getting some nice rebounds in big situations. Like
also, no one talks about this world leadership.
Yeah, exactly.
Winning.
Exactly. And Mike and Danny both, I think, have shown really important leadership in this team. And realistically, the only, in my opinion, the only way you give up that kind of quality is if you're getting a player who's really, really, really going to move the needle for you. In my opinion, because I think leadership and chemistry is key, and this team definitely has chemistry right now. So the only players that in my opinion that I've seen that I'm like, okay, I can understand that is if you're going out to get a Zach LaVine. But obviously, I don't think that's even possible at this point.
It's not
because of how he's playing. So personally, in my humble opinion, I don't want to go after Kyle Lowry. I would much rather supplement with other moves and find better shooting to put around your star players. That's my opinion.
I would do it in a heartbeat.
You're allowed to have a different opinion.
No, I know. I just think he's the perfect fit. Like I get what you're saying. Will I be fine if they go out and get a stretch 4 that can shoot from the corners and another ball handler like a George Hill or whatever, or Patty Mills? You've mentioned him a lot. Yeah, I'll be happy as hell. I'm going to like any move that makes this team better, especially coming off the bench. But what I'm saying is like when it comes in terms of Kyle Lowry, if you don't have to give up a ton, like I just said, I would give up that package for him. And B, I get what you're saying, like the bench depth, but then like if you're making a move for Lowry, I think more you would already have something lined up in the buyout.
Yeah, no, I can definitely agree with that. I think if and then that's and exactly what you're saying is my mindset as well. Like if you're making that move, you obviously believe that you're going to be able to get extra help that's cheap.
Right.
Because my thought process is I'd rather go out and get actually like good players that can shoot the damn ball. I feel like because if you can't get that, like if you can't get like say your son Ilyasova wants to come back into the NBA. It's like say you buy easy candidate to bring in for cheap, or say there's a buyout candidate that's easy and cheap that you want to get, and you can also make that trade for Kyle Lowry. I get that. But if there's a premium on shooting and you need to give up more assets to go out and get shooters, I would still rather go out and have to give up more assets to bring in good shooters to put next to guys that can be there for years to come, or can be cheap enough where you don't have to spend a bunch of future assets on them, if that makes sense.
So to wrap this, not to wrap just this little segment up, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep focusing on trades today for the time being. I think we all agree that Morey is going to pull the trigger on something. Whatever it is will help this team try to win this year, which I'm excited for. And I just want the deadline to get here because I want all this to be over, all the speculation to be over. But just going back to last night, because like I said, that was a hell of a victory last night. So George, I'll throw this to you first. What did it mean to you? Like they got thoroughly outplayed. Basically, they went up like 8-2 early, and then Utah took over. And we know the 3-point fest that took place last night. And they had multiple double-digit leads throughout the entire game. And you found a way to win against the hottest and best team in the league right now. What did it mean?
I think getting outshot on 3-pointers by 39 points and still winning this game is pretty eye-opening, because if you're giving up all those threes, which we could not shoot the three ball, we were not defending the three ball well. If we're going to do that and we're still going to come back and win, there's no quit in this team. Like, that's something that you want to see. And obviously Joel Embiid was the number one reason that we won this game. But towards the end, like, there was guys that came up big. Like, Curry got his three ball back. He shot well at the end of the game. Toby took over overtime. Ben defended all throughout the game. He dropped 17, 5, and 6. So, like, we played well. It's just the 2.5, 3 quarters, we got outplayed bad. So to be able to come back in the fourth and overtime is pretty damn eye-opening about what this team is. Like, there's no quit in this team. 2 years ago, when we watched Sixers game, we lose this game by 15 points.
Yeah,
it's just a completely different team all around. Coaching, players, front office, everything is just so much better. So ending that game and going into the All-Star break at this point to beat the number one team in the West, to have a comeback win, to have Donovan Mitchell get so mad that he gets double technical and freaking thrown out of the game, like, we're gonna be a problem. If we obviously, I'm on board of either Kyle Lowry or even just getting small assets for the bench. Either way, it's gonna make us better. And after this buyout period, after these trade deadlines, we're gonna figure out, like, what this team is on paper and how we do compare to teams like the Nets. But I feel pretty damn good, because I don't see us giving up three balls like that consistently in a 7-game series. I don't see us shooting the three ball like that in a 7-game series. So any team that comes across us is going to have a problem, especially with Joel in the paint.
The biggest thing that I learned last night, and then I'll throw this to you, Justin. You can tell me what it meant and what it means to you too, because you finally got that full test, healthy, unhealthy, number one seed versus number one seed currently. But with him being the MVP that we're calling him right now, and the level you're seeing him play at, it told me that in a 7-game series, we had the best player on the floor. And I don't care who we're playing against. You had the best player on the floor. Now, obviously, you play the Nets, you had the best player on the floor, and then they had the next 3 best players. They had the next 3, but you had the most dominant player on the floor. And I know I'll get a lot of shit for that at some point. Like, the LeBron stands out there, the Giannis, when we play the Nets, KD or Harden, he is the best player in the world right now. I'm not saying for the rest of the season he will be. I'm not saying, like, over. Right now, he's playing better than anyone in the world. Justin.
What's your question?
What did it mean last night? What did it tell you?
I mean, it told me that no defensive team can actually do anything against Embiid. It told me that, like, realistically, this was like one of the only tests that I was like, okay, he might struggle a little bit because Rudy is. And
the Jazz as a whole is what, like, second in defensive rating?
As a whole, they're a very good defensive team as well. To be honest with you, as soon as we beat up on the Lakers and as soon as Embiid beat up on Marc Gasol, I knew it was a different beast this year. It didn't take this game for me to see how Embiid's playing and what, like, where he's going this season, because Rudy's not his hardest matchup in his career. His hardest matchups have been bigger bigs who are maybe a little bit shorter than him, but, like, guys who are bigger and can move laterally. Those have been his toughest matchups. Guys like Al Horford, guys like Marc Gasol. And you've seen now, like, length doesn't bother him because he knows anybody who is longer than him is usually skinnier than him, and he can go at him. Look at matchups with him against Anthony Davis, Miles Turner. Andre Drummond's just too small in general to stick with him. But, like, guys like that, you see it all the time. And now you see the same thing with Rudy Gobert. I mean, he literally shoved Rudy Gobert to the ground with 2 minutes left in the fourth. Like, put his shoulder in him and put him on his ass. So my thing was always Marc Gasol and guys like that who can withstand his size. But now he's become even too savvy and too that I don't care what you think you're gonna do to me mindset. You saw he went straight into Marc Gasol's body and went right at him, and that was my test. And that wasn't necessarily tonight or last night. So ultimately, the trajectory of him and this team is, to me, like insane. That's why when I sit here and say about the shooting around him, this team could be even better if every time not every time, obviously, you're not going to hit every shot, but when he passes out,
but 38% of the time,
yeah, like if he 38% of the time is passing out and getting good looks and getting good shots off, and they're hitting, this team's unstoppable. You saw it early in the season when everyone was hitting shots. When Furkan, Shake, Curry, Green were, and not even Green wasn't even hitting at that point, but when they were all hitting their shots out of 40% to a little bit under rate, he was playing 3 quarters.
Yeah.
So, like, to me, I think that's the biggest thing to look at.
We saw that against the Pacers.
Yeah, exactly. And so to me, that's the trajectory. If you can have consistent shooting around him at all times, and obviously that's asking a lot. Consistent shooting is a high value in the NBA. But that, to me, that is the thing I see, and that's what I've seen with last night's game and with this whole season.
We're going to switch subjects in a second, Justin. So if you want to hang on and talk Flyers and Phillies with us, let us know.
I can talk Phillies, but I can't talk Flyers.
All right, we'll go Phillies next then for a minute, but before we wrap up at 5. But 2 things real quick. I saw a picture last night. I forget who put it up, and it's Seth at the top of the key with the ball, and the defender sagging off like close to the elbow. A great 3-point shooter like that needs to shoot the ball. Like your defender shouldn't be able to sag off of you like that. And someone shot the frame of it. And I'm like, come on, man. B, we made 8 threes last night. And this was just something I said to George before the show started. We made 8, and 3 of them came in the fourth quarter from Dwight Howard, the buzzer beater by Joe, and a Seth Curry top of the key from like the parking lot that he buried.
Green had one in the corner at one point, I thought, right?
Yeah, and Mike Scott hit one. Over half of our threes came in the second half at a crucial time. So that's one of the things I was looking at. But let's switch gears and talk about the Phillies. George, start with you, bud. Is that game over yet? I know they were pounding the Yankees.
15-0 final. Mickey 2 dingers.
So tell me so far what's sticking out from spring training to you. I know Matt Moore pitched today. He looked really good. Your boy Vinny, don't do it. Do not do it, dude.
3 strikeouts in 2 innings.
Do not do it.
Come on.
Talk to me about some of the rotation guys. Talk to me about some of the pen. What's sticking out to you so far as the arms go? Yeah,
so the starting pitchers have looked good. Like Matt Moore came in today, 2 innings, no runs, 1 hit. Eflin looked good. Nola looked pretty good. Like his movement, his stuff looked good. You had Matt Moore come in today. You had Vinny come in for him. Tomorrow you have Chase Anderson starting, and you got Spencer Howard coming in for him. I don't know if that's like telling to you guys, but that kind of shows me that maybe Spencer Howard coming out of the pen is a huge possibility. Like we could actually see Vinny and Howard in the pen and Matt Moore and Anderson being your 4-5 behind Wheeler and Nola, which we've heard speculation about Howard coming out of the pen this year, kind of nursed the shoulder, and you have a guy that can throw 2-3 innings and give it all he has in the pen, which would be pretty damn huge for us, like combining that with Archie Bradley and all the other guys we got. So that would be big. Huge game today. I mean, Mickey Moniak 2 dingers, Kingery hitting 1, Odubel hitting 1, which
didn't Alec hit 1 as well? Alec had a 3-1.
Boom hit a
1
shot.
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't see most of the game.
No,
I was doing homework and I just kind of had it on the TV next to me. But like every once in a while, I was looking over and I was like, "All right,
yeah,
that's like 5 more runs than I thought we were gonna have." When I look back over, like all of a sudden, like I look over and I see Alec Bohm like running around the bases on a 3-run shot. I'm like, my God, man! Like, can we talk about Alec Bohm for a second and just how impressive he is?
I can't wait, dude. I can't wait to watch him in the full year.
Last year, he got robbed Rookie of the Year, and all he did was rake. We have a full season of Alec Bohm coming up. That is going to be so big for this lineup. All that kid does is hit. Like it's absolutely ridiculous. And his defenses look pretty good in spring training too, which is awesome to see. Alec Bohm is going to be huge.
Abe, Abe, before you jump off, the Faithful Fanatics are starting at 5:30, and we'll be talking more about the Sixers game last night and the season so far. So we'll get back to your basketball talk.
Yeah, so I kind of got a question for you guys, because I know having Spencer Howard as a starter is would be awesome to have this year and awesome to see, but how do you guys feel about him coming out of the bullpen and having possibly Matt Moore and Chase Anderson 4-5? Because I'm kind of okay with it. The only thing that scares me is if you're gonna make him a 2-3 inning guy in the pen this year. I really hope that doesn't affect him long term to getting used to that.
He hasn't thrown a lot of innings, even last year when he played in a short stint.
Never has.
He never really got past 5. That was the thing. That was the knock on him, 5 or 6. So if you can use him as kind of a long arm in the pen this year, I guess I feel the same as you though. I wonder what it does to him going forward. But I don't know, man. I mean, obviously it's only 2 innings in spring training, but Matt Moore looked good. We'll see how Anderson looks. If Anderson looks good tomorrow and Howard struggles, then I think you'll know a little bit more. That's a tough question.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think realistically that you'll figure out more with that answer tomorrow after seeing them both pitch and after seeing what you're getting out of them. And obviously, like you said, it's only 2 innings, so it's kind of hard to formulate a whole opinion on who should start just off 2 innings. But I do think it's possible that could happen. I personally, as of what I know right now, I'd rather give him that chance as a starter, and then because to be honest with you, if you just stick a guy into the bullpen, think about it when we're younger playing baseball. If you just say all of a sudden hey, you're starting. Oh, you know what? Actually, no. Right. We don't think you're going to be a starter right now. Here, go to the pen. Why don't you let him have that shot at the beginning of the season? If it's not going well, then say okay. Right now, we're going to move you here because you have a legitimate reason to right now, not just based on 2 innings. You have it based on what's happening this season so far. So personally, I think you let him start in the beginning. But like I said, I think you need to see tomorrow's game first to really see what you're getting in Anderson before you ultimately make that decision on your own.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you one guy we won't see in the 5, and that's Ivan Nova. Holy hell.
Ivan Nova sucks.
George, how is I saw him pitch a little bit today, and then I saw him get, rocked the other day. How has Kinsler looked?
Real quick before you get into that, I gotta head out of here. I just got a text about something for work, so I gotta go. But I appreciate y'all having me on. I would talk to you guys later. Have fun talking Phillies and Flyers, and good luck with Fanatics later, I should say.
Later, bro.
Peace out, everybody.
How has Kinsler looked?
Still, Kinsler looked good. He actually pitched today. He had an inning, 2 strikeouts, but 2 innings and 2 Ks so far for him. He hasn't he's looked good. Ivan Nova sucks. We can go back to that too. I hate Ivan Nova. I don't think he's good at all.
One more guy he's not on the roster, but he's still out there. Now, I don't want to mess this up. It's Odorizzi, right?
Odorizzi.
Yeah. He was linked to the Phillies a week and a half ago.
Well, in my opinion, are you asking me what I think about him?
I want him.
If we get Odorizzi, we are 150% making the playoffs.
I want him bad, bro.
I don't. It's sad because I don't think we're gonna. I don't think we're gonna spend the money for him, but I think we should, because if you get Odorizzi, we're making the playoffs.
I think that's a huge missing piece. That you go out and get Jake Odorizzi, you shore up the middle of your rotation. He instantly becomes your 3.
Without a doubt. And if even the 4, because I'm all aboard the Eflin train. I love
I'm not falling for it yet.
Yeah, I love Eflin, but Nola, Wheeler, Eflin, Odorizzi, and then you got Matt Moore, Spencer
Anderson, Howard.
Damn, we're making the playoffs at that point. I think Odorizzi.
I think I'm being dead serious, and I don't mean this as he's the missing piece to a championship world beater team. I think he's the missing piece for this team currently constructed to, even being remotely a contender. And I don't mean that simply because, he's a huge name left out on the market. I think he's a solid pitcher who has pitched well for the Twins for the last couple of years. and he immediately shores up. In my eyes, you have two glaring holes still: center field and the middle of your rotation. I think they've done a great job on the bullpen.
And there's not much more you can do at this point.
No, and what are you going to add? Another cheap arm? Like, I think they've done enough on the bullpen. Hopefully, Neris bounces back. You know what I mean? Like, the bullpen, we're going to have to see, and then you make moves going off of that. The top of your rotation is there. Your bats are all basically the same. You got to cut. Now, off the bench, too, you brought back Brad Miller. Matt Joyce looked freaking awesome the other day. And then you're going to have Hazley and Quinn on the bench too, depending.
Honestly, Odubel.
Kingery, maybe. Yeah. Odubel is a very touchy subject that we'll have to discuss another time on a deeper level. So I think, honestly, Jake Odorizzi is the missing piece.
Like, if I mean this thoroughly, if we get Jake Odorizzi, we have a chance to get second place in this division, I think. And I know this division's tough. I know the Mets are good.
We have Jake Odorizzi, we can win this division.
Nationals rotation is absolutely ridiculous. The Braves are good, but we could make a run for this division if we have Odorizzi. Our over-under in Vegas right now is also 81. Hammer that if you're better, because there's no way that we don't win more than 81 games. With this lineup,
this team missed the playoffs in the final weekend last year. Final weekend. The year before, the first year with Harper and McCutchen, before McCutchen went down, they were the best team in the NL East by a lot in June or July, in June when he got hurt. And I agree with Amadeo here. I ain't buying into the Mets until they actually show it on the diamond.
Mets gonna Met, yo, like they always do. The Mets, they're gonna Met.
No, I get it. What do they got? They got new owner now, new GM. Like, I get it.
Cookie Carrasco, they got guys. They're a good team, but
don't get me wrong. They could be the best team in this division this year. I'm not buying in until I see it.
Yeah, they've been hyped up the last few years every year, and I know they're better this year than they have been in past years, but you never know with the Mets.
No, and there's two things that I think are going to be key for the Phillies this year. And then right before we end, we'll give our Flyers predictions for tonight. The middle of that rotation. I'll keep talking about it until they do something about it. Or if Matt Moore and Spencer Howard or 2 of the 3 look really good and Eflin takes a step like you think he is. And B, what Rhys Hoskins are we getting this season? That's a huge question mark in my eyes. If you get 2017, 2018 Rhys Hoskins that summer, or even close to that, I'm not saying hitting a home run like every 3 games or whatever it was, every 2 games. Not that, but somewhere close to that, that's a huge piece to this team compared to what you got last year.
110%.
Good.
No, good. You're good.
No, I was just going to say, I can't wait to see Alec Boehm in the field for an entire season.
Yeah, having Alec Boehm for 162 is going to be life-changing for this team.
Because for every bad play he has in the field, there's a great play followed.
And he's had some good plays in spring training. I saw. His defense is only going to get better, and we know he rakes. Like even when he got called up, like we were doing the show, and I said like all this kid does is rake. He didn't skip a beat going to the MLB. No. I expected some hiccups. No, he jumped right in, and all he does is hit. Like that kid he's going to be a stud. He's going to be a stud for our team for years. So, yeah, Boom 162 is crazy. That's going to be awesome. Rhys, we know Rhys can get on base. Like, he always walks. He can get on base. If he can keep the power and consistently hit on like he did for the first half of last season, then that's a huge step up for this team. And we'll see what happens in center field because you have options. You have Kingery, you have Hazley, and we're going to have guys on the bench. Left field, you have Kutch, Brad Miller. So we'll see what happens there because Kutch is probably not going to play day in and day out. There's a lot of stuff up in the air for this team, but I love how deep we are. Like lineup-wise, hitting-wise, I love how deep we are.
Abe says, I'd love to see Boehm and Hoskins' defense improve. So would I. So you've heard it here first, everyone. Alec Boehm is a stud. Joel Embiid is the best player in the world right now. George, 30 seconds. Flyers struggled mightily in the first one in Pittsburgh. They have 2 more in Pittsburgh before coming home. Game 2 of that 3-game stand is tonight. Can they bounce back? Will they bounce back?
So apparently they're changing up the lineups, the lines a little bit tonight.
I know Elliott's in as well.
Elliott is in. Elliott has been pretty hot. I hate that we got our asses kicked at Pittsburgh after we absolutely dominated Buffalo, because I know it's Buffalo, but they look so good, and I was hoping they would translate that to Pittsburgh. Did not happen. Hopefully, we got 3 straight games against Pittsburgh, so hopefully tonight changes. Elliott in net, 3-2 Flyers. Bank on it. Why not? We'll see, though. I mean, you know, it was a really tough game last time out. It was very tough. Even though I will say against Buffalo, we looked very, very good all around.
Big game for the Flyers tonight in Pittsburgh. I think they win, and I think they need to win. I know it's still very early in the season, and they've played 3 less games than the top of the East, but I think this is a big game for the Flyers tonight. So George has them winning. I have them winning slightly. And that's going to wrap up this episode of the Daily Dose. Go check out the Tough Cover podcast starting like now here on the Painted Lines. And then the Faithful Fanatics, me, George the Snap, will be back at you at 5:30 on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, wherever you're watching right now. Have a nice night, everyone, and come hang out with us and talk more Sixers season review so far.